Right now on the Citizen Report, a controversial bill has been introduced into the House of Representatives. We'll tell you what you need to know, plus the latest headlines coming up next.
So we're not going to live in a world where, as a Republican, you get investigated from the day you get sworn in. 3 years later, they're still coming after you. Here's what amazes me. The Russian investigation, what happened? Half the people behind the Russian investigation are going to go to jail, and
When?
Trump was cleared.
Hopefully.
Well, just hang tight.
Okay.
They come after Trump on Ukraine, and Biden blows up. So every time they throw a rock at Trump, they get hit.
And welcome to the Citizen Report. I'm Jonathan Shannon, and thank you for joining us. This newscast is Real In-Depth American. David Heller has this episode off. I'm coming to you today from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm so glad you can join us because we got a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time. This episode may end up being shorter than usual this time because I am not presenting for a number of reasons from home base today. So I am actually in my car sitting in a parking garage. So hopefully the quality will come through okay. But I do want to get right away to this bill that was introduced actually back in December in the House of Representatives. This bill should have you concerned, and I'll tell you why. Because it is a bill. First, let me tell you what it's cited as. It's called the New Way Forward Act, and this bill basically provides illegals with a means of staying in this country despite their illegal status. Now, I don't know about you, but this bill, as I read it, is very concerning. It basically, depending on how you look at this, actually gives more rights, judicial rights, more judicial due process to those who aren't even here legally to begin with, those who cross our border illegally or overstay their visas, whatever the case may be. I presume that chiefly this is regarding those who cross the border illegally. But this this bill is actually 28 pages, but I'm not going to obviously read all of it to you. I'm just going to read an excerpt here. And I'm going to go down to Title 7 of this act, and I think this is actually, let me first do this. I'm going to go to Title 6 because, let me find it here. There we go. Title 6. I think this kind of reveals their true colors right here, and this is on page 25. If you want to look it up on the internet, please feel free to. It's literally called Title VI, Roman numeral 6, Decriminalize Migration. Section 601, Repealing Migration Criminal Laws. A. Criminal penalties for entry at improper time or place. Section 275 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S. Code 1325 is repealed. B. Criminal penalties for re-entry. Section 276 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1326 is repealed. So right there we already see it doesn't necessarily put language right there to explicitly state in the bill's own right, so to speak, that the bill is actually again, like it's not coming right out saying it, and yet it kind of does with this title. It says decriminalize migration. In other words, they want to decriminalize those who wish to come to this country without doing so the legal, lawful way. And in Title 7, just below that, Title 7, right to come home. Section 701, reconsidering and reopening immigration cases. A. in general, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Attorney General, 1, shall grant a motion to reconsider or reopen proceedings pursuant to paragraph 6 or 7 of Section 240C of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S. Code 1229 AC, with respect to any alien who, A, on or after April 24, 1996, I, was ordered, removed, deported, or excluded, or 2, departed the United States pursuant to a grant of voluntary departure under Section 240B of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S. Code 1229C, regardless of whether or not the alien was ordered, removed, deported, or excluded, and B, demonstrates that the alien, I, would not have been considered inadmissible, excludable, or deportable under the immigration laws as defined in Section 101A.17 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1101A.17, if this act and the amendments made by this act had been in effect on the date on which such order was issued or the voluntary departure took place, or II, Roman numeral 2, would have been eligible to apply for relief from removal, deportation, or exclusion under such laws if this act and the amendments made by this act had been in effect on the date on which such order was issued or the voluntary departure took place, and 2, shall deem an alien who makes the demonstration under paragraph 1B as not having been removed, deported, excluded, or departed, and as not having failed to depart under a voluntary departure order for purposes under the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S. Code USC 1101 et seq. Okay, I'm not going to read any more of this because it's a lot of legal jargon. I know it's difficult to understand, and I do appreciate you sticking with me here. But I felt that it was important to not just give my insights, but to actually read a portion of it thereof, so that way you can hopefully appreciate that I'm not just trying to say something. I'm trying to back up what I say with evidence. So to try to summarize what I think about this, I think it's repulsive, if I may say that. I'm really, I think about, it's like these, those of us who are American citizens, we're American citizens. So many times the legal system, I'm just going to come around and say it, they don't give people a fair shake. I will say that. I say that for different reasons than someone else might, but I say it because I believe that, just looking at this, they don't get a fair shake, because you look at these illegals who are given a fair shake that should be given to American citizens, but if you're not in this country legally, you're supposed to be deported. Yes, I do believe there should be due process. Yes, I believe you should be proven to have entered the country illegally. But assuming those conditions are met, then you should be deported. Notwithstanding the conditions and the circumstances, if you are in this country illegally, you should not be able to stay. And something that's very interesting is that they try to create a right to come back home, which contradicts everything, ironically enough, about our Constitution, because you or I assume, most likely if you're listening to this, you were born in this country, or if you weren't born in this country, and if you're listening in the United States, you certainly have a lawful presence, lawful status, if you will, I assume. And it just amazes me that this Title VII right to come home, that, just pause for a second, think about the wording. Right, meaning it's not a privilege, it's not a, it's not a permission, it's like because think of it this way, let me put it to you this way. The best way I know how to describe a right is if you have a right, it's a birthright, actually. And for emphasis, I'll use the word birthright, because rights that you get at birth are there with you. You know, they're inherent to your existence as a human being, as a creation of God, you know, made in God's image. And it just amazes me. And of course, there are rights that, you know, are derived from somewhere other than birth. You know, like you have a right, you know, if you're born in, I'm just going to make up a scenario. Like if you were born in Singapore, for example, you apply for a visa, you come to the United States of America legally, and then later on, you know, through whatever legal process that there is, you end up becoming a permanent resident, and then you become a citizen. Then you do have rights as an American citizen. But I'm saying that they're trying to create rights for those who don't even have a lawful presence in this country. They shouldn't even be in this country. They should go back to their country, and then if the law allows, they can then reapply to become, you know, to be able to come here legally, or otherwise enter the country through a port of entry legally with a passport. You know, it just amazes me. They don't have a right to come here because it's not their country. From the outset, they're a citizen of whatever country. 99.999% chance they have citizenship somewhere, in some country, some sovereign country somewhere on the face of the earth. And it just amazes me that they want to create a right that, if you think about the context, that, you know, yes, you have birthrights. They exist regardless of what the government has to say. But there are also, I'm not talking about that kind of right. I'm talking about the right to have a presence in a country, deriving from a circumstance where they weren't even citizens to begin with. They weren't lawfully present, or some circumstance happened where they didn't have a right to be here, or they had to leave, and now they want to say that you can come back, or whatever the circumstances. Folks, this is extremely concerning. I don't think this will pass, because I don't see the Senate, if this makes it out of the House, and it's a big if it makes it out of the House, I don't think the Senate's going to pass it, because it's Republican controlled, and I think it'll be unpopular with a big portion of the electorate, you know, the body politic. And certainly President Trump is not going to sign something like this into law. I cannot imagine that. And just looking at the front page here, you know, 116th Congress, first session, House Resolution, or H.R. 5383, to reform the process for enforcing the immigration laws of the United States and for other purposes, in the House of Representatives, December 10, 2019. And I'm just, you know, just looking over these names. There's a couple of names that stick out to me. Of course, you do have the first person listed here, Mr. Garcia of Illinois. But if you keep reading, there's names that stand out. You've got Miss Tlaib, as in Rashida Tlaib, and you have Miss Omar, who I believe is referring to Ilhan Omar. And there are questions about her presence in this country. I'm not going to get into that on this episode, but just, you know, there's people that have been saying things, and I'm not going to get into conjecture, because, you know, I need to do research before I make an accusation like that. But let's just say there's certainly questionable circumstances that led to her coming here in the first place, or questions raised by some. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I don't want to get into gossip or rumor. I'm not doing that. I'm just not going to do that here. But certainly those who have done their research have said that, and I will, you know, we'll have to see if that's worth looking into at some point. But without doing my personal research, I don't want to repeat something somebody else said that's you know, much of an accusation. But of course, so like I said, you've got all these names, and there are a lot of names on here. Miss Tlaib, Miss Omar, you know, in this list. I mean, it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible, these people that have joined in on introducing this bill. on sponsoring this bill, introducing the bill. So that's it for that particular bill. And please, folks, do your own research. And I think it's just quite astonishing to look at. It's quite a piece of document that should concern every American citizen and everybody here that's here legally, lawfully, etc. Legally and lawfully. But I want to switch gears right now to talk about a couple of Q posts. By Q, I mean QAnon, which you can go on qmap.pub. I'll spell that out. That's QMAP.PUB. So, just a couple here. One moment while I look over this. Actually, I'm going to read 3 here. Actually, 3 posts. And I'm looking over the timestamps. 2 of these, the first one I'm going to read to you is from February 5th. And then the other 2 is from February 6th. So beginning with the February 5th post 3831 says, people actually believe those responsible for the attempted coup, and then it says coup attempt within brackets in bold, of a duly elected sitting U.S. president will go unpunished, ? End to our constitutional republic, ? No equal justice under the law, ? No accountability, ? Escape unscathed, ? Buckle up, ! Q. Next post that I'm going to read. This is, unfortunately, I don't have the post number on here. I do not, like I said, I do not have the post number. I'm looking at the other surrounding posts, try to narrow down the possible number. It's in the 3800 one. I can tell you that much. 38. Well, okay, but I can tell you this is from February 6th. Bigger than you can imagine. More than selling state secrets, more than selling U.S. security, more than selling of military tech, more than selling of CIA, Central Intelligence Agency assets, more than selling of NSA, National Security Agency bulk data collection programs, more than selling of uranium, more than selling of U.S. space, national SEC, I assume SEC's meaning security, so national security programs and positions. More than selling of U.S. aid. More than selling of SAPs. Classified 1 through 99. And then after that it's got a dashed line, and then below that it says crimes against humanity. When you cannot defeat the United States of America by attacking head on, you change tactics and deploy a kill from within. And then it says the word internal within brackets in bold, operation. Financial economy, military police, division of citizenry, border collapse. And then it says install like-minded leaders in key positions of U.S. government in brackets in bold. How many people removed, and the word removed is in brackets in bold, from the FBI or Federal Bureau of Investigation had Iranian, as in Iran, had Iranian family backgrounds, ? The silent war continues, Q. And then I'm going to read one more here. This is also from February 6th. Think HRC, as in Hillary Rodham Clinton, Russia reset statement. And then the word Russia is in brackets in bold. Think Hussein, as in Barack Hussein Obama. Quote, I'll have more flexibility after the election, unquote. Hot mic statement to Russian depot. And then it's got the letters RE, semicolon, Q to Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama, regarding Putin. Think Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama, White House refusal to send weapons to Ukraine. and then it's got in brackets in bold, our Congress pushed to assist. In other words, the Republican Congress tried to assist. And then it continues, but instead sent only blankets. Think these attacks re POTUS for failure to protect Ukraine against Russian aggression, ? And then brackets in bold says the word impeachment. And then it continues. What advanced weapons did POTUS, and I should say POTUS is an acronym for President of the United States, and in the context of things, we're talking about Obama here. What advanced weapons did POTUS send to Ukraine? 2 + 2 = 6, ? And I'll just add, no, 2 + 2 does not equal 6. Define projection. Think $1 billion $800 million. Barack Hussein Obama, White House bigger than Ukraine. Which bank? ? And the words which bank is a question mark, and it's in brackets in bold. Think U.S. aid bigger than Ukraine. Think worldwide aid bigger than Ukraine. Think U1 or uranium one, and in the words sale of U.S. uranium to Russia in brackets in bold. Sold out U.S. to benefit Russia for personal financial gain? Risked U.S. national security for personal financial gain? How was payment made to U.S. persons? Think Ukraine. Think Iran. Russia and Iran allies? Russia, Iran, and China allies? U.S. poll, or I assume the word poll is political. So I'm gonna take a leap of faith and say that I'm gonna use the word political to refer to POL. So U.S. political corruption China, U.S. political corruption Ukraine, and then it's got the words U.S. leverage on behalf of ... in brackets in bold. U.S. political corruption Russia, U.S. political corruption Iran, common denominator China, Russia, and Iran. Closed financial systems? Logical thinking, Q. So that's all I'll read from QAnon, and basically to try to summarize all this, I think what Q is getting at is a few things. There's a lot here, and there's more layers to this than I could possibly go into on a short, podcast, short, like as in short as in a few minutes. But I think that, first of all, Q is basically saying in that first post that no, there will be accountability for going after Trump in this coup. And that's what it was, folks. It was not a good faith attempt at impeachment. It was not them, because politics, or I should say impeachment is supposed to be something that a wide majority of Congress pursues when you have a open, rebellious president that's committing treason, high crimes, misdemeanors. That's not what was going on here. They were trying to remove Trump because they had political reasons, as in they wanted to stop him because he was an opponent of them. And there's more layers to it than that even, because I think he's going after their corruption. But to summarize this, and I may be oversimplifying this, but to try to summarize as best as I can with these other posts, over time, folks, that they have tried to divide the country by pitting us against one another, and more specifically to Obama, he was there was corruption running amok in Russia, or Ukraine, I should say, and they're trying to project all this onto Trump when they're the ones that are guilty. So I hope you appreciated me including the Q posts here. I know it's a little hard to follow. It's taken me a while to get to where I have even the basic skill set of following these posts and reading it, in a way that I can just read it and understand it at least 85-90% of the time. But before we end this podcast, I do want to just get you the headlines as has become normal these days. This is from JohnBWellsNews.com, and I highly suggest going to his website. So I'll repeat the name of the website, johnbwellsnews.com. I shall say that one more time. John, the letter B, wellsnews.com. First headline from ZeroHedge.com. Donald Trump having the best week of his presidency. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, it's been an absolute disaster this week for the Democrats. It really has. I mean, look at what Nancy Pelosi did. She ripped up her copy of the speech, and someone said that was even a crime because you're not supposed to destroy public documents, in a manner that is to, like she did. Those are not her documents. I'm not saying, actually, I shouldn't say that as a foregone conclusion because I'm speculating here that those documents, and I want to stress, these are not conclusive facts that I know to be true. It's speculation on my part that these documents, yes, it's a courtesy copy, but I'll just say there have been those that have said that it's documents that are supposed to be, for the House. I'm not saying it is what's going on. It may very well be just a courtesy copy, but it was at the very least, folks, very distasteful, repulsive. I mean, it was ridiculous. Trump honored, look at what he did. He honored one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen. A military family was reunited on live TV there at the State of the Union. You had these other people that were honored, that were very well deserving of an honor at the State of the Union. You had Rush Limbaugh, who was given a presidential medal of, I believe it's called a Medal of Freedom, at the State of the Union, right after learning of his cancer diagnosis. You had all these things happening. And Democrats, for one night, despite their corruption, despite all of it, they could have at least chosen, at least for optics, even if they weren't genuine about it, they could have at least chosen to put aside their political, their politics for one night, come together as a country, and discuss the success and accomplishments that this country has made in the past year, and the state, and well, hence the title, State of the Union, State of our Union. But the Democrats, via Nancy Pelosi, they would have none of it. They collapsed just only for an extremely rare few times by comparison to all the opportunities they had. And then Nancy Pelosi ripped up her copy. I mean, folks, at the very least, the optics are terrible. It was repulsive, distasteful, and depending on whether that document was supposed to be made of record or not in the House, it may even been criminal. But I should stress, I don't know if that is a crime, because I don't know if the document itself is supposed to be made of record, as in the physical copy she had. But that was extremely disgusting. I must say. I just have to call it out. It was really not appropriate at all. But continuing on here, from Medium.com, the myth of incompetence. DNC scandals are a feature, not a bug, by Caitlin Johnstone. From thegatewaypundit.com, fireworks. Brennan lashes out at Rand Paul from dropping Eric Ceramella's name on Senate floor. Rand Paul responds with fire. From WesternJournal.com, GOP candidate to Antifa punk threatening violence. Quote, "Oh, try. You've got the very wrong guy," unquote. From YouTube, related, Nancy Pelosi's challenger stands up to Antifa bully. From theEpochTimes.com, Pelosi responds to acquittal. Quote, "Imperative," unquote, "Trump isn't reelected." And I should briefly state before I say this next headline, this is going to be a rather disturbing headline. So if you're a little squeamish, I perfectly understand. You might want to skip ahead for about 15-20 seconds. From naturalnews.com, cremation vans running 24/7 as China orders door-to-door mass roundups of infected citizens to be placed in, quote, quarantine prison camps, unquote, by Mike Adams. I mean, folks, that's just another reason to reject communism. That's communism on full display right there. From, continuing on here, from WND.com. Dim turnout disaster. Only 217 in county of 97,000 showed up to caucus. From consortiumnews.com. German TV exposes the lies that entrapped Julian Assange by Ray McGovern. From LewRockwell.com. Government has no rights by Gary D. Barnett. And I'm going to go to this other printout, also from JohnBWellsNews.com. I won't be able to give you the publisher or the publication they cite these from, but I thought I'd throw these in there. Scientists confirm that dogs do understand human speech. Muslim cleric tells his students that the earth does not rotate because if it did, planes would never land at their destinations. Really? Seriously? Oh my gosh. Or, oh my goodness, I should say. Astrophysicist claims he can build a time machine travel to the past. Former Ukrainian prosecutor Shokin reportedly files federal complaint, demands investigation of Joe Biden. What is sending radio signals to Earth from deep space like clockwork? ? Mysterious object 500 million light years away is transmitting signals that hit our planet every 16 days without fail. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily think that, I'm not reading this to imply I necessarily think that there's life, because personally as a Christian I believe that this is the only planet where intelligent life lives. And but I'm reading some of these headlines. It's, you're free to think what you want. But I personally don't think there's intelligent life on other planets. I'm just not convinced of that. I really am not, because I believe God created His planet to be unique, to have the people, to have those made in His image. Human beings, men and women. Continuing on here, veteran actor and comedian Orson Bean, 91, is hit by 2 cars and killed while crossing a street in LA, that's Los Angeles, to get to a theater where his wife was working. That's so sad. Continuing on here, coronavirus mass arrest. 86 people die of virus in a day in China as Beijing starts rounding up sufferers, and videos show hazmat suit-clad goons dragging people from their homes while death toll hits 724. And in the last headline, Twitter was broken and it was great. So folks, all these headlines and more are at johnbwellsnews.com, and I highly recommend going to their website. I don't get any payback. I don't get any, I don't get any pay for saying that. I just believe in a good product, and I believe it's a good alternative to the Drudge Report. Given the way that Drudge Report has become these days, it seems like they've kind of turned to the left and become biased against Trump. And I'm not saying for sure, but it just has the appearances of that at the least. So I just want to wrap up with a couple things. One is, I would like for y'all, I didn't ask David this outright, but I will just say, in the absence of having asked for whether I could mention this or not, I'm just going to ask that y'all keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, or I should say in your prayers. Just pray for his, I won't elaborate, but I would like to ask my audience to pray for his dad, and his mother too. Just pray for all of them. And I figured that David could use this week off, so I just went on ahead and said, you just take this episode off. I'll go at it solo. But just keep his family in your prayers, okay? And then also I would like to announce here on this episode that I do now have a website. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last episode or if that was even up and running at that point. So much has happened this week in my neck of the my neck of the woods. But the Citizen Report now has a website, and it's thecitizenreport.weebly. That's WEE. That's 2 E's. BLY.com. thecitizenreport.weebly.com. And we don't have, it's not 100% set up yet, but it's certainly there, and I'm trying to post episodes as they are released to that site. So there's just one more way that y'all can see, one more way that you all can see the episodes, in a manner that, it's kind of like our online home of sorts, on the website side of things. And I would like to finally give a big thank you to the Gaston College Broadcasting and Production Technology for giving me my podcast, I should say, a shout out on Facebook. I truly appreciate that. It truly made my day. It really did to get a mention like that. And particularly, I'd like to thank Kate Carmody for doing that mention as well, and I truly appreciate that. I truly do. If you're listening, I just want to say, Miss Carmody, thank you so much. I just truly appreciate that. I really do. So on that note, I would like to thank you for tuning into the Citizen Report. I'm Jonathan Shannon, and remember, our website again is thecitizenreport.weebly.com. thecitizenreport.weebly.com. I'm Jonathan Shannon, and for David Heller and myself, Jonathan Shannon, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again on the next The Citizen Report. Have a great rest of your day and a terrific rest of your weekend.
The Citizen Report is a production of New Shannon Media. All content protected under copyright.